Junky, a real-life pulp crime introspective chronology of junk using and dealing throughout the 40s by William S. Burroughs, published under the pen name Bill Lee and fictional protagonist name as well, in 1953, was way ahead of its time and still immerses today for the writing style and the story, which is like a cacophony, a montage of scenes that emulate in a meta fashion the addiction and obsession itself with the high, but it is in the subsequent bipolar recovery periods that Burroughs seems to fish in his past for the original why of what brought him to this point in the first place, him being way over his head and being a cultural inspiration icon by challenging the conventions of law and order and everything that bothered him at the time, which he doesn't ever come out and moralize in any monologue except the best part of the book, which is maybe the first 10 pages, and then the rest is just backing it up with evidence, like here's what I believe and here's what I did fashion. And the writing is just so good and immersive for that reason, because like I said, you can't make this shit up, so for that reason, it does have, he does have a sort of redeemable innocent quality, but I can't say he's a good person. Actions speak louder than words, and when we said, we don't know how much of this shit was exaggerated to sell as well as protect himself from law enforcement at the time, which is understandable considering, I really think that it was the greater addiction was fame in the background. That's just a theory among many that I have. Man, this work is an embodiment of a life in which experience and style and artistic creation is interchangeable at this point. And for writers, my fellow writers and writing students, this really is a model to follow. The book itself, as well as aspects of this lifestyle, this fearless pursuit of truth by any means necessary, even if it's polluting your body with substances, but not literally. I don't recommend polluting your body with substances. Personally, I think hard drug use is indulgent and stupid, but I can't deny, there are a mind-expanding, personality-changing effects, and that many that I can't relate to. Probably more in this realm of psychedelics, but it's in the attitude that bothers me the most, in which that can lead to long-term usage. And so also this book works as a sort of encyclopedic reservoir in a very down-to-earth, realistic way. And so that, someone who would have been glorifying and trying to make famous pushing hard drug use, which by the way is not as shocking as or countercultural anymore, but you can see the long-term effects on culture and society everywhere. In retrospect, someone trying to glorify hard drug use wouldn't have, realistically, journalistically explain some of the detriments of that. And so you can sense that my professional psychoanalysis of Burroughs, someone searching for truth by any means possible. Imagine a world as negative and as shitty and scummy as he was at this age in his career and his life, for things like cheating on his wife with various men, randomly, nonchalant, non-sacred attitude towards sex, and it's clear to me also that the obsession with the high and the fix, and it was more about in the process of time. I think like the why or the motivation was lost, and that shows through the fact that even in the meta fashion, the narrative itself is just a convoluted series. Like, this book could have been 1,000 pages long if he actually plugged any moralizing into it, and people would have bought it. So one goes to show, but he had been to a realm of interpreting reality that most people had never been even, too scared to approach. Well, and all of that, the way he approaches truth through direct experience and reaccounting that establishes such trust with the reader. It couldn't be more authentic or more bluntly written. You could almost say the passages were beautiful. I mean, his writing is so good. It's the content that is so shocking that you also kind of got to see it treat it objectively and see that it's kind of a cautionary tale in many ways. So paying attention to the best places to discern and prescribe worth, your spirit, as um, gleam or experience art, you got to pay attention to how you feel. And how I felt, this one was pretty morally gray and had sort of a obviously rebellious attitude towards the way he lived his life and how he modeled it and how he sold it in this exaggerated account of this period of his life. I will say, though, it's also super entertaining and interesting, and it's also a kind of a reservoir of encyclopedic info dumps of the effects of using, dealing, and the response to law enforcement culture at the time. And it's very punky for that reason. So if you're one of those nerds who, like me, who isn't willing to live a life like that, who's too addicted to the benefits of good citizenship, loosely speaking now, although that's, it's like a pressure boiler about to explode in modern times, as modern definitions of such things are being so challenged over the top. Like if Burroughs and people like him as cultural keystone influencers of the past would have seen what the long-term ramifications of their ideologies they were plugging so artistically and so selling so well, if they saw that, I'm pretty sure that that they're burning in hell with regret right now wherever they are. But I bet that they're so cracked out on their own selves that they're kind of enjoying the ride at the same time. That's what I like to imagine. So it's basically, most people don't want to take the gray pill, you know what I mean? They want things to be black and white. They want things to be red and blue. They want things to be clear. William Burroughs is not interested in that. He gives you the facts and he lets the audience decide, usually by solo interpretations. This is a really cool cat for not even caring what is over or understated. He's just reporting the facts according to him, and he's not so sure what that is anymore, because I guess he's just kind of looking for meaning, like all of us, through any means necessary. And there's some authenticity in that if you take it too seriously or think get self-deceived by pride, you could end up destroying your body and destroying your life. And that isn't shied away from. I think if he would have had a follow-up novel later, he would have told the truth about that. Anyways, I am getting addicted to, the beatnik, the noir, the hippie countercultural, from the phonetic style appeal to works and similar works and content and stories where at that age of America, there's some authenticity. If I could summarize why I give this book a 9 out of 10 in one word, it'd be the word authenticity. This is the sort of thing that sells. This is the model, the writing itself, as well as the content and the way the author approaches the content of how to engage people. And that's proven the fact that this book is still relatable and marketable 72 years later. So it's good. It's good shit. And I read books like this, so I don't have to be a junkie myself. I have no experience with hard drugs and no plan to in the future. Curious about psychedelics, but too scared to do them. So anyways, yeah, I definitely recommend this book if anyone wants a interesting, engaging story to look at reality from a different perspective. But know who you are first and know what your morals are, so you don't end up being seduced by an ideology that can be physically dangerous and mentally and spiritually as well. So that's up for you to decide, though. I'm definitely going to read Naked Lunch, his most famous work, which came out a few years later, next. But I mean, I know I'm going to look back at this review video later and remember there were so many things that I forgot to mention. And yes, it took me 4 takes to get my ideas out so that I could then journalistically like state them in a way that was timely. But I think I just nailed it. I think I nailed it! Nailed it! Sorry about